And one thing that we were talking about last week, which we were a little ill prepared for, was the special teams unit. But we are well prepared for it right now. One of the biggest concerns is the replacement of the Borregales brothers. So Andy Borregales last season, his brother years or the last 3 or 4 seasons, and then his brother the year before. Andy Borregales, in my opinion, is one of the greatest kickers in Miami football history. He was a career 86% field goal kicker. He missed one extra point in his entire career. He's the all-time points leader in Miami history. He's awesome. He is like tremendous. So replacing him's tough. And the guy you're replacing him with has a massive chip on his shoulder in Bert Auburn. The Texas transfer got benched during the Peach Bowl because he kept missing big kicks, and he was projected a all SEC player. He was projected an all CFB player. He was projected to be one of the best kickers in the country because in 2023 he was an 83% kicker. In 2022 he was an 80 plus kicker. This in last season he was a 64% kicker, went 0 for 2 from 50 plus, and 16 of 25 total from as field goal kicker. That's a guy I have a little bit of concerns for, but he has a chip on his shoulder. And one of the, at least the positives that I have on him is that he hasn't missed an extra point in his career. Knock on wood, that continues. I would hope that he continues what he was, the level he played in 2023 and 2022. He's a guy that, I mean, look, kickers are tough. They're tough to talk about. No one really wants to talk about kickers. But kickers are important at the end of the day. You're gonna if you need when last season when I saw a 50-yard field goal, I saw Andy Borregales take the kick, I knew it was going in. When I saw an extra point, I knew Andy was going to make it. When I saw Andy Borregales, I knew anytime he stepped on the field, he was going to make it. He gave me no concerns. I have concerns for Bert Auburn. I'm really hoping that he can be better than he was when he was at Texas. Maybe the pressure can go down a little bit here at Hard Rock. I don't know. Maybe a change of scenery will be in play. But I don't know. I have a little bit of concern for him.
Yeah, probably, if you're looking at the special teams unit, the biggest concern is going to be Bert Auburn. Not a great last year. You would have hoped that Miami would have gotten somebody a little bit more proven if they were going to go the portal route of getting a kicker. I know nobody really is going to trust a freshman kicker, but maybe you had to go that way if you want to develop a long-term guy. But you look at what he did the year prior, and you're like, okay, maybe he just had a bad year. Things start rough. It ends up being a spiral downwards. So maybe that's more of what it was for him last year. Than he just isn't good anymore. He's just not good. So it's going to be interesting. Like we just talked about having a blessing of having the offensive line, not having to worry about it. The biggest blessing of all is having a kicker out there, and he's not going to miss kicks for you. And that's what Borregales did, and that's a huge hole that you hope Bert Auburn can maybe not be at the high 80s like Borregales was, but maybe he's into that 80% range, is constantly making his extra points. Can hit a few clutch kicks throughout the season when you need him to, not have to worry about him on 40, 30-yarders. So your fingers crossed on what he can give for you. Maybe he's not Borregales, maybe he won't be anywhere close to Borregales, but if he can just not be a liability on the field, and we're like he got getting benched during bowl season, it's not really how you want to end a season, and hopefully it does not end with Bert Auburn being benched for kicking.
One of the age-old things in football is if you don't talk about an offensive line and you don't talk about a kicker, they're doing a good job. Yep. Let's hope for whenever the season starts, when we keep hopping on this show, we don't talk about the offensive line and we don't talk about the kicker. If we don't talk about them, they're doing a fantastic job, and that's all. I don't want to really mention Bert Auburn's name for the rest of the season because that's how good he's doing. That's how good Andy was. No one really mentioned how good Andy was until he retired or went to the league, and now he's with New England. I hope he balls out in New England. So I don't love talking about kickers, but in big games, obviously you're gonna need a kicker.
Yep, you're gonna need a kicker. And Miami didn't have to worry about this position a lot last year, but it might need to a little bit more. Not only the kicker, but the punter. Dylan Joyce coming back for Miami. Solid 43 yards per punt, 11 inside the 20, 11 of 26 punts on the year going inside the 20. You'll take that. I'm not nothing too exciting there, but like I just said, if I don't have to worry about my punters shanking punts, and I don't have to talk about them at all, probably for the best.
Yeah,
So hopefully,
he wasn't used at all much last season
yeah.
with how good our offense was. Again, don't expect the offense to be as good as they were last season. This season, you maybe expect them to be a little bit worse. So you might see Dylan Joyce on the field, and you're really hoping that he's Australian, right? The Australian kicker can do his job. The Australian punter can do his job. Some new changes for Miami was the long snapper and the place kicker. They got Carter Davis, a transfer from FAU, as their place kicker. I'm not going to talk much about him. He spent 3 seasons as FAU's kicker. Bert Auburn actually was never the place kicker. He was the kicker at Texas, but he was not really their place kicker. Carter Davis was the place kicker and the kicker. He was not a very good regular kicker. He only went 4 for 11 on field goals in his career. So he kind of moved to just the place kicker. So he's fine. He had 109 touchbacks over 3 seasons. Fine by me. Do your job as a place kicker, please. And long snapper Adam Booker, another guy. We actually lost our long snapper, which is so that could be a little bit of a concern. I'm not really worried about it though. He is a former receiver from Charlotte, transferred to the long snapping position, moved there in 2023, took the starting role in 2023, and then was the long snapper for the entirety of 2024, Charlotte's top long snapper. I don't have much to talk about him other than do your job, please.
Yep. I mean, you told the story right there. Hopefully he's phenomenal in terms of the punting game. If you're gonna need to punt more, hopefully he can get down there and make some tackles for Miami. Like we said, special teams. The less I have to talk about it, the less I'm worried about it. Unless you're elite. Like if Dylan Joyce is hitting coffin corner punts the entire year, we're gonna talk about Dylan Joyce.
Yeah.
So like hey, look, I'm Dylan Joyce. Hit some coffee corners this year. We want to talk about you.
We do.
In that sense. Bert Auburn, hopefully he makes some clutch kicks, is consistent for Miami. And to get to some more exciting things, this couple of interesting return options that could be added for Miami this offseason through the transfer portal. A few weeks ago, we talked about Keontae Scott getting added to the quarterback room, and he was a top-tier punt returner over at Auburn. But also Keelan Marion, we briefly mentioned him as a gadget guy potentially for Miami, but he was an awesome punt returner over at BYU.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, BYU, great kick returner. Led the Big 12 in kick returns. Led the Big 12 in kick return average. Had 2 touchdowns last year. So, whether Miami wants to use him as a gadget guy or if he can come in and be a special kick returner for Miami. Not asking him to be not asking him to be Devin Hester, but like we're not asking any of these new guys to come in and be legendary for Miami. It's just like, can you come in, make some explosive plays, make an impact? And I'm very excited to see what Miami does with Keelan Marion of anybody. Of these returners, just because, like, if you can work him in as a gadget guy, I think that's a really fun player to have. He took 21 rushes last year, 24 receptions. So you think about a guy that Miami had a couple years ago. The running back just got drafted by the Chiefs. Was that SMU last year? Why am I blanking on?
Brashard Smith.
Brashard Smith. You look at a guy like that. You saw especially was for SMU. Maybe if Keelan Marion could work into some type of role, not necessarily that high level, but explosive guy, get the ball in his hands, and hopefully on the kick return path, he can do some plays for Miami and then work him into the offense here and there. Could be interesting for Miami.
I'll say a minimum bar should be to be better than they were last season. They were pretty bad last season, objectively. I as much as I loved Chris Johnson, I thought he was so fun to watch. He was not good as a kick returner. At least he wasn't as good as you wanted him to be. And Ray Joseph, he was the punt returner consistently, and he was not as good as you wanted him to be either. So you're hoping that Marion and Scott can be better than they were, better than the other two were. Ray's at least still here. Chris Johnson left, but Chris Johnson was given the keys and he didn't really do much with them. And Ray Joseph was given the keys as the punt returner. There were times I think he fumbled one play and they gave the keys to Restrepo one time. So they're not crazy about Ray as a punt returner. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm hoping that Scott and Marion can be these two key guys. If the special teams is elite, it adds another wrinkle to how good Miami can be.